And now we're going backwards. So here's where we're at on the combine. We're still waiting on a couple parts to get finished up. This bracket here that holds this valve is for a 60 series combine, and this is a 70 series combine. So we had to get a different bracket for that. When we get that, we can hook up the rest of the hoses, and then we still have to build some kind of bracket to hold these up. And let's see, what else? We got a couple shields to put on the axle, and we're just about ready to go on that. Then we'll have to put oil in it, run the oil through, flush that out, put new oil in. We're over here working on getting the reel straightened out to go on the new corn head. There was some brackets that were a little bit different that we needed, so we took those to a welding shop. He fixed them up for us. And now what we have to do is we have to move the drive to the other side of the head because it's a little bit different than our 893. So what we're doing is we're taking the two outside arms off. We'll have to slide this off. Hopefully it's not seized. Do the same thing on that side and just flip-flop the two sides. That was easy. What's that?
So we can lay it here.
Oh, lay it here.
To see what we actually need to do.
Okay. This runs off a hydraulic motor that runs through whatever would run your bean head reel. And the new corn head, the hookups for the hydraulics are on the other side of the head. So the drive motor runs right next to the sprocket, basically. We're gonna get the arms, lay them out here, and kind of figure out what we need to do.
We got a burr on that? I think we got burrs.
Yeah, we need to hit that with the grinder.
Find it. There we go. Get on there. I don't know if we want to
Just leave them loose for
leave
now.
them loose for now, or just kind of snug.
Well, just leave them loose and then we can slide them around. So we're holding the reel up over the head kind of where it needs to be. That way we can figure out where we need to mount these brackets. I guess we're gonna have to do a little bit of fabricating maybe, because the chain holders will go down here, and this isn't a very heavy plate. It looks like whoever had this reel before us had a reel mounted right here, and then they must have used this tube, which would be heavier, to hold the chains, but we didn't redesign our brackets to go right here. So we're gonna have to mount them out here and just maybe put a thick washer or something to make that tough enough to handle the weight.
Go one more. Can you raise up on this end and I'll go one more link?
Okay, try that. That's good. That's close anyway. Alright, so the corn reel is mounted. So basically what we had to do, like I talked about, we had to move the drive over to this side because it hooks right into here to your single point. On our old head, it had a set of hoses running across the top here, and it ran off of this side because it was an older head and it had been converted to single point hookup. So for those of you who may be wondering what is a corn reel used for, it's used in down corn. We had that big wind came through. We got a lot of down corn to deal with this year. We actually used it a little bit last year, and what happens when you don't have a reel, sometimes you'll be picking through down corn and stalks will break off. They'll pile up on the snoots or on the middle of the head, and then you either got to get out and push it in, or it's just a pain. So what this crop reel does is it just keeps turning and it keeps pushing the corn into the head, into the auger, keeps everything flowing nicely. It's not going to be perfect. You're still going to fight it here and there, but it's going to drastically improve our conditions. We got our new bracket for the hydraulic block down there. We're going to start taking that apart.
Take all these off.
Yeah, we got to take the hoses off.
I'm tight on it.
Yeah, they're tight.
Dang, that's heavy.
Like I said earlier, apparently this is the bracket for a 60 series combine. This is a 70. There must be something about those combines that are different, because this one drops it way down. That way you can get your hoses in where they need to go.
I think I probably better have a couple washers for this. Maybe. That look better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
I don't drop it in the oil.
As long as they don't drop it in the oil.
They're all together here.
Alright, that's tight. Alright, we got all of our hoses hooked up, big supply lines, and these go to each motor. And I believe these small ones are just kind of a pressure relief. That way you don't blow anything up. About the only thing we got left to do is there's a wiring harness that we had to get that was also different on the 60 series. Got to throw that on there. Make some mounts for these guys up here. A couple shields on the axle, and then we should be able to run it. Got it figured out. So this plug here, it was attached to this plate here, just an extra one. This is the one you plug your harness into. That way the machine actually knows you got rear wheel drive installed. The other one hooks to this block right here. And then there's a sensor out at each axle.
Like right there. Just enough to keep it like up top. Put a nut on it, and then we can walk it up. I think we're going to have to pull some back.
So we got oil back in it, we got everything together. The only thing we got left to do now is get our alignment somewhat straight. Deere mechanic said we want to be towed in 1/2 inch. Right now we're towed out 1/2 inch. So working on that. Still got a shield to put on. And we should be able to run it here directly. Alright, we're going to start up for the first time. Dad and Keith are going to watch for leaks when I start it up, and then see what we got. Hope it starts. It's been sitting a while. Well, they're not yelling at me, so there must not be any geysers. was saying, this stop sign was flashing. I'm guessing because it didn't have any oil pressure yet, but must have charged everything up because that went out. When they give me the green light, I'm going to back up a little bit and see if this thing will move. Uh-oh. So forward is backwards and backwards is forward. So we've got something hooked up backwards because when I push the lever forward, the machine goes backwards and vice versa. So I'm thinking the two lines down at the hydro, we got those on the wrong side. The problem now is we got it full of oil, so we can't just swap those lines real fast. We're gonna lose all our oil. So Dad's making a phone call to see if it would be okay to run it like that. It's not like I'm gonna be going any fast or real fast, so we'll see what we got here. All right, so we have confirmed that we have the lines on the hydro backwards. We put it in four-wheel drive, and it tried to run the rear-wheel drive backwards when these tires were going forwards. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap these two lines right here. This is gonna be our easiest option. Hopefully we don't lose too much oil. And
No.
we should be going by then, after we get that done. So when we were hooking this up, we had an issue where one of these hoses wasn't long enough to get to the port that we thought it needed to go to, and that's when we looked at the diagram, and apparently the diagram's wrong. So what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna flip-flop these two lines right here at the Y blocks. That way, we're thinking we won't lose as much oil, and then we don't have to change any of the slack in these lines at all, or try to stretch them.
Oh, you got oil.
All right, combine four-wheel drive test, take two. Four-wheel drive is off. Let's see if we go the right way this time. That's better. All right, so we're gonna drive this thing down the road a little bit. What the Deere mechanic told me to do is just start driving, go about 2-3 miles per hour, and then engage the rear wheel drive and see if you can feel it kick in. That'll be about the only way we know that it's actually running. We do kind of know that's running because the wheels tried to actually turn the wrong way when we had it backwards, but I'm still gonna do that just to make sure we got it going the right way. We're gonna run it a little bit, get the oil warmed up, dump that oil back out, and then put new oil in it. That way, if there's any metal filings, we'll get those caught in the filters and get everything flushed out as good as we can. I just saw Dad go by with a zip tie, so I'm not really sure what that's all about, but once he gives me the go ahead, I'm gonna take off down the road. All right, so now I'm gonna hit the rear wheel drive high button and see if I can feel it kick in. Yep, I felt it. I felt it kick out. I think it's working. And now we're going backwards, just so we got oil going both ways through the system. I guess that's probably the best way to flush it out. So we verified that everything's working. We got the oil warmed up just a little bit, draining it out here. We're gonna drain it underneath the hydro so we get all the oil out that we can. That's gonna be our best bet here for contamination wise. What do you need?
Broom. I can roll around in here. Pull it from here. It should be an opening. There we go.
So we got the combine pretty much back together. We got everything operable. We still have some shields to put back together. We got the oil draining. We're gonna let it drip overnight. That way we can get, like I said, most of the oil out of it that we can. And we'll probably button this thing up tomorrow. That's gonna do it for this video. This was a heck of a job. I'm glad it's over with. I don't really wanna have to do much more work to this, but I do believe that it's gonna be a drastic improvement when we're going through some of these muddy, wet conditions, just to be able to keep these wheels turning and help push the combine forward a little bit. Like I said, we already had some issues before all this rain where I had to back out because it was just too wet. So we're gonna need this. It seems like we need rear wheel drive probably 3 years out of 5. So I'm glad we got it. We're probably gonna keep this combine around for a few more years. So it'll be an asset. It should also make our combine a little more valuable when we go to trade it in or sell it or whatever we do when the time comes. We got a good week of weather. It's only Tuesday. It's there's really no chance of rain for the rest of the week. It's supposed to be sunny. I don't think the fields are gonna dry out a whole lot, but any little bit helps. We are hoping to get in the field by the end of the week and maybe knock out harvest by next week. That would be nice. Glad we got rear wheel drive. Glad we're done putting that on. That's gonna be it for this video. See you on the next one.